Today have told us that.
Now, time now for that discussion on legacy of the Jubilee administration and infrastructure. And with me is Bramwell Kipkoskei. Most welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's just get right into it. From where you sit and your own opinion, when you look at the Jubilee government and its investment on infrastructure, what can you say would be the hits and misses?
All right, great. So good morning, Kenya. Good morning, Nairobi. So my name is Bramwell, and I run a company called SILCO. I'm the co-founder. We are based in Nairobi. I think just to answer you, I would say the government did not deliver on the promise. So part of the manifesto or the agenda that they had was the BIG4. And they were to actually come up with these very good strategies, affordable housing, healthcare. They're looking at also manufacturing and food security. Looking at the affordable housing, well, they did promise to actually deliver almost 500,000 units. Well, I think we're looking at around close to 1,000 only that has been delivered. And that is a very minimal percentage. So that's in itself is a failure. But it's also important to look back and see what was the intended purpose for the affordable housing project. And I think defining it plainly, the affordable housing was housing units that would cost anywhere between 1 million to 3 million Kenya shillings. And the intended market for these specific units were the average middle income households. So this is a household that's earning anywhere between 50,000, 60,000 thereabouts. And they actually, part of the manifesto was they wanted to target a family, a basic family where a husband is earning 25,000 and a wife is earning 25,000. So the average repayment period for this specific unit was supposed to be anywhere in the 25,000 gap. So that in itself is the whole affordable housing concept. And looking back at the number, the 500,000, it's also important to look at what is the current deficit and the demand for housing units in Kenya. As we stand right now, 2022, we're looking at around 2 million units that is in deficit, out of which the demand yearly is around 250,000 units. And what they've actually been delivered, plus the 1,000, is close to 50,000 units. So we are way, way, way below the threshold of what is acceptable as affordable housing.
And this 50,000 units, you coming from the housing expert in housing.
Yes.
Looking at the 50,000 units that have been delivered, you look at this and say it is in 10 years' time. 50,000.
Yes.
When was this 50,000 reached? Is it 2022 or is it, which year was it?
So this 50,000 is actually cumulative. It's not only the affordable housing, deliverables from the government. And you're looking at also private sectors as well. Again, I think, from the projects that I would classify as the affordable housing, and I think we've seen this in Pangani, and there's another project in Park Road. The other proposals of where they would set up this, and I'm not sitting here as an expert for the government. Of course, those are the two that I've seen actually. And I don't know if the uptake is at 100%. So I think Saiton did a report sometime last year, and what was delivered from the government is close to 1,000. I don't know if that number has actually increased. But if you are to put cumulative also with the private sector, then you're looking at around 50,000 units. And this is why, of course, you go to areas like Embakasi. Of course, there are millions of people living there and thousands of units, but you will still get a new development coming up now. So the demand is quite high. The supply is very low.
And let's move on and look at the high cost of living and how it has affected the housing sector.
Yes.
Just give us your opinion.
I think let's look at how much it would cost an ordinary Kenyan to acquire a 2-bedroom apartment. There are a couple of avenues that one would choose. One is either you go the mortgage way, or you actually go the construction way. And from construction, you go way back to actually purchasing the land and then the construction and all that. I think mortgage currently stands at around anywhere between 10 to 13% interest. And an average amount is around 8 million thereabouts, which of course makes the repayment to be anywhere within the 50,000, 60,000 mark. if you're looking at the current population with the high cost of living, 74% of Kenyans are actually below 50,000 Kenya shillings, earning 50,000 shillings. And it's rather unfortunate because even the 74% are only one pay slip away from poverty. One pay slip away from losing a house. So it makes it extremely difficult for an ordinary Kenyan within the middle income range to approach a bank and get a mortgage. So this, for me, the affordable housing was a brilliant strategy if it was executed right. Because then this would mean that that 74% gap would actually get a shot at owning a home. So it's very expensive to service a mortgage. It's very expensive to actually acquire a mortgage in itself. And if you're looking at the repayment period of even up to 25 years, and you know, the uncertainties in employment, political and all that. So if you lose your job, then it's as good as losing your house as well. Yeah. And
now let's look at another infrastructure.
Yes.
We look at the expressway.
Yes.
When you look at it, because when it was being constructed, you saw people who were living just close to the road complained about pipes being cut, complained about them not having electricity. Their lives were affected. So when you look at the expressway, what were some of the hits and misses?
I think the beauty about real estate is the only asset that actually gets to appreciate with time. And, you know, infrastructures like the expressway, like schools, like hospitals, all these are a plus for any person who has real estate or land, housing, anything, you name it, within that radius. So it gets to appreciate in value. So there are upsides and downsides towards the, you know, the construction of the SGR road networks, all that. I think an upside would be anybody who bought property, and this is evident when Thika Road was being constructed. The prices of land then were going for, you know, hundreds of thousands, 200 for half acres. And after the construction of Thika Road, these prices skyrocketed to triple millions of shillings. So investors who actually bought land within these specific areas where you have key infrastructure being built, which includes the expressway as well, get to benefit from the appreciation that comes with it. However, the downside to it is, again, you know, if you have constructed your house within you know, area that is not designated for any construction, the government will reclaim back its land, and you might actually get to also lose your investment. So it's very important for you to get the right paperwork, to get the right mappings, to get the right, you know, make sure that whatever you are constructing on, whatever you're buying is not allocated in an area that's going to be government land in the near future.
And now, also looking at the period of this 10 years, we've seen demolitions of houses near roads, saying the land belongs to the government or someone who's not maybe being named. You as SILCO, do you find where people have come to you and said, all right, we need you to come in and help us, maybe we've been thrown out of our land? Explain to us about that.
Great. I think let me just give you a background of why SILCO, what was the idea behind SILCO. I've been in the real estate space for close to 10 years now, and much of the, you know, day-to-day activity involved advising my clients on what is a potential investment, why you need to put your money in this investment. And any client coming into real estate is either buying this property or investment for, I would say, two main reasons. One is for capital gain. You know, the example I gave where you're buying close to an infrastructure and then it appreciates and then you sell it. And two is, especially if you're looking at the rental space, is for that passive income. And with the high cost of living, you get people who actually wanted to invest in the affordable housing. We're not doing this for own consumption. They're not buying the housing units for them to live in. Very, very minimal percentage. They're actually buying this so that they can convert it into a passive income by renting it out to tenants. And SILCO is a tech platform that actually comes in place after one has bought the housing unit, and now you want to look for a tenant. You want to get a credible tenant, not just look for a tenant, get a credible tenant.
Yes.
You want to market your property, and you want to streamline rental collection. So our systems are able to streamline rental collection. It's able to streamline and automate communication between the landlord and the tenant, because we do have conflict that comes as a result of that. So that was why SILCO came about. But then again, we go a step further, just to answer you, in also advising the clients before you actually get to put your money in this project. Let's say it's a flat you're buying. You have to do due diligence. And a couple of steps that you have to take as an investor. Don't just put your money anywhere because it's a good deal. In fact, I think they say when the deal is too good,
think twice.
Think twice. Yeah. So we do have people who invest in Nairobi within the metropolitan, and I'll tell you something for free. Our costs for 1 square meter of land within the Nairobi metropolitan is close to 119,000 Kenya shillings. So when you get someone selling you an eighth, a 50 by 100 or 40 by 80 at 200,000 shillings somewhere in Mwihoko, don't be too quick to run to your bank and give them that money, because one, you're in for a huge character development. Two, one of the things that you need to do when you're actually doing due diligence is make sure that there is right paperwork for this particular land. And making sure that there is right paperwork means subcontract services from a legal representative who's able to do the search, who's able to verify and authenticate that this land is actually genuine. These measures mitigate further down the road the issues that you'll face with government or with any other private entity where this land is not where it's supposed to be. Yeah.
All right, so finally, as we finish,
Right.
when we look at the housing sector in Kenya during this election period and where we are going after the election, what are we looking at as we finish the year?
Well, life is hard, and it's only going to get hard. I think people need to fasten their safety belt. And probably I would say the next government coming in place I would recommend them to look into the affordable housing project, be able to deliver the 500,000 units. If you look at where we are with the 74% earning 50,000 Kenyan shillings, a bigger percentage of that is, people earning 15,000 shillings. And 25% of this income goes back to rent. And an average 2-bedroom somewhere in Mathare is going for, 3,000 to 5,000 thereabout, or a single room thereabout. So if you're asking for 5,000 and this person is earning 15,000 shillings, well, that will, spiral up to be very expensive in the long run. And not even included the food expense and all that. So I would say probably, there are a couple of measures that the government can put in place. One is go on with the affordable housing project, partner with private developers to offer incentives, to offer reliefs in terms of stamp duty, in terms of, other costs that comes with approvals and all that, so that now we do have private developers reducing the cost of construction, which of course goes back to the common mwananchi. And again, out of the 50,000 that you're mentioning, a bigger percentage is also constructed in the high-end areas. And we only look at around 2% of the 50,000 being constructed in the low-income areas. But this is where the majority of the population is. So let's be fair. Let's balance out, the development. And I think maybe that is a step towards the right direction.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Is Bramwell Koskei there from SILCO company, just talking to us about the housing sector and looking also at the legacy of the Jubilee government, even with 11 days remaining to the election. All right, that's all from Business Cafe this morning. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Don't go too far. Remember, News Desk is coming up next.